Tesla has just reported its first quarter results, and as expected, it did miss. For more, let's bring in Hatem Dhiab. He's managing partner at Gerber Kawasaki. Hatem, thanks for joining us today. So lots to unpack here, but let me just run through the quick numbers. We had the first quarter adjusted earnings per share 27 cents. The estimate had been 43, so big miss there. And revenue, $19.34 billion. The estimate had been $21.37. Also, Tesla backing off the 2025 guidance for sales. So first of all, your just reaction, first read of the numbers.
Well, I mean, we knew it was going to be a bad quarter. I didn't expect it to be this bad. It all comes back to deliveries, right? They announced 337,000 cars delivered this quarter, which just told us that the numbers are going to be a mess. I think actually they may even do less than $2 EPS this year, which will be really, really bad. I also saw that the free cash flow is only $400 million, which is also not good. So it's just really, really operationally, they're not doing great.
Okay, so let's talk about how much of this you see tied to Elon Musk, who everybody associates the company with, backlash to what he's doing in Washington, and how much is the competition now out there and grabbing some of the market?
I mean, those are very two good points, right? Tesla is a consumer discretionary product, right? So people have a choice. And when you start offending your own consumers, mostly liberals, mostly people who are green, and all Europeans, everything that Elon has been doing politically, getting close to Trump, has just hurt the brand itself. So that's why, they missed on their deliveries quite a bit this quarter. And I think that's really the biggest problem going forward, is how much of that brand affinity is gone. Do people go back and want to buy Teslas when they don't like Elon, or he doesn't change his how he appears to people? Two is, Europe is also a big market, and in Europe, the Model Y used to be the number one car. I'm not talking the number one EV, the number one car, and I don't think that's going to be the case in 2025. So there's really, really big problems that they have to work on.
Okay, so he is also moving away, or the company's moving away from its sales growth forecast. How are you interpreting this? Was there any number sort of given as to how much they expect sales to drop in the year?
Well, we were told initially a couple of years ago Tesla will grow 50% a year. And then they dropped that to 30%, and now they dropped the forecast. It's simply they don't know. Nobody knows what the brand hit is going to be. You add the fact that the economy is slowing down and maybe potentially a recession down the road. I think it's fair for them to say that they don't know how many cars they're going to deliver. So it makes sense.
Are they having any operational problems?
Absolutely. The Cybertruck, they can't make it. This was supposed to be a car that's going to sell 250,000 trucks. That's not happening. The new Model Y is actually a really great car, but again, the brand issues are making it not desirable. There's a lot of new choices. There's a lot of choices from the Chinese, from the Europeans, from the Koreans. So consumers have the ability to get some really, really good EVs. And Tesla, even though the product is really good, is no longer the only game in town. Yeah,
some are calling their lineup stale. Do you think that applies?
I've called that lineup stale. The Model S, needs definitely a refresh. The Cybertruck is really kind of a unique truck, right? It's not for everyone, right? You have to be an acquired taste. I actually have the new Model Y, and it's a really beautiful car, but it took forever to get it. So I think the reality is they need more new products. They need to refresh some of the current products, and they need to get people excited about the brand again.
Does it take Elon Musk to go back to doing what he was doing before he went to Washington to get some of that done?
I mean, he needs to get back to work, right? Like, he's the CEO of the company. The company is not operating well. The stock hasn't been doing well. He needs to get back to work, and it's as simple as that. And he needs to rebrand himself. There is a lot of things that he said and did over the last year or so that are frankly not acceptable for a CEO from a consumer discretionary brand. And I think that's really what we need to start and do first in order for us to even think of the brand being rehabilitated somehow.
Is there indication that he's going to go back and try and steer that company out of the ditch it's in right now?
I don't know what Elon thinks. I don't think anybody knows what Elon thinks. I hope he does. I think Tesla is one of the very unique, amazing car brand that is made in America, that is quite innovative. Elon has been one of the most innovative people in history, right? So I hope he sees the damage that he's doing to the brand and he comes back and does what he needs to do, because it's a very unique American brand that needs to succeed, and it could be done, right? Like if he really decides to do this, it can be done, and maybe even doesn't need to be him alone. He can do what he did for SpaceX, where he has a CEO that runs the company, and he can go do his political stuff. But we need to disassociate him, or at least what he's trying politically, from the Tesla brand.
Let me ask you about robotaxis as well, because that was slated for a June event in Austin, Texas. That's where they were going to bring out the Robotaxi launch. Are they saying they're still on track for that, or is that sort of gone by the wayside as well?
They haven't said that they're not on track, so hopefully they are still on track, because frankly, Waymo is way ahead of them. Zoox, which is owned by Amazon, is actually starting to do Robotaxi service in Los Angeles and other cities. So even though Tesla was supposed to be the first in the space, there's a lot of other players that are doing. I think Waymo is doing 200,000 rides a month now, paid rides. So if Tesla doesn't do this summer, that is going to be very, very detrimental as well.
Hatem, just last question here. I've heard some refer to 2025 as Tesla's throwaway year. Do you think it's going to be Tesla's throwaway year?
I heard that too. I don't know what that means. Like, you are supposed to be executing. You were the leader in the space, and I don't know. Did Elon take a year off, and that's why it's a throwaway year? So I don't think that's a good reason to give them a pass. I think what we need to see, hey, what are they doing to rebrand or rehabilitate the brand and really get back to executing and growing. At the end of the day, Tesla is commanding a 100-time PE. They're commanding like a really premium valuation in the market because they're viewed as a very innovative company and a growth company. They are not doing either. They're not innovating and they're not growing. And that's what we need to see this year. All right. Hatem Dhiab, sir, thanks for joining us today. Hatem is the managing partner at Gerber Kawasaki.